Well, hello guys, welcome back. Long time no see. Hard to come up with a description, to be honest. I think the tree speaks for itself. Having this tree after 2 years, finally next year it can go to a beautiful pot. It's on the way. I will show you soon. I worked on it today and a few days ago. And of course I want to show you what I did to this tree today. We're just getting into November, and I thought that would be a perfect time to work on this tree just before it will go into its pot next year. I tried to put a lot of movement into the primaries and secondary branches. I wanted to shorten it back as much as I could. It is an Oriental Hornbeam, which was collected in 2023. Let's get to it. A quick catch up. Huge, beautiful, massive, even could say crazy quality of material coming out from the ground. Kept it in this box 2023, 2024, 2025. We worked on it a few times, nothing major. Get the branches into the position where I thought that they would be the best. Taking advantages of these massive pots, accumulate a lot of energy, because as we will work on it this tree today, but also finally, after all those years, patience kicks in. You need to wait with the Yamadori to bounce back after a huge operation of taking out from the ground. Let's get to it. Guys, I have waited almost a year after collection to get to set the tree's primary branches. As the tree was growing very nice and fast, I could not resist to wire it for the first time. Okay guys, hello. So, this big beast, Oriental Hornbeam, Carpinus Orientalis. Kind of mid-June. We just passed the equinox a few days ago. And it wasn't pruned this year at all. And I will tell you why. Also, I will tell you why I'm not going to work on this tree today, which you could. But as I mentioned that I would love to put this tree into a bonsai pot next year. So that would mean that it stayed in here for last year, this year. And why I decided to do that, it's basically I want to use all the potential what this container offers me right now. And that means basically while the tree is in this huge round pot, call it a pot, right? I will let it accumulate all the energy what it could in this year. So I don't really want to try to get on the ramification straight away today. That's why I want to leave it to accumulate and grow as much as it can. So as you see, it's gonna get you in to the branch structures. So you're coming out with two, it's coming with this massive, massive trunk. I just wanted to, jump in how it looks in June before we're going to do the next pruning on it in November. As I'm using just kind of ordinary organic seaweed fertilizer. We always tell you that, comes to June, after the first flush of leaf hardened off, and you can do another maintenance pruning or partially defoliation or fully defoliation. Really depends on what you want to accomplish. If this tree would have been in a bonsai pot for 2 years per se, because next year, so that's what I wanted to prune it back in November. Next year, when it's going to be repotted off hands, that's my approach. If I do a major operation on a tree, the next year it's kind of like off hands, go into the, started to call the other greenhouse the shade house. Just going there, nice and humid, get it bounced back, and then might re-prune it in 2026, November. Exciting times. This beast is such a beautiful tree. After we didn't worked on this tree, was it June? Somewhere there. I'll just walk you through why I'm not going to work on that tree back then, but it's time now. Let's work on it. There's one more. Yep. Tiny bit more. Go on the tree. Good. Needless to say, it is a multi-trunk tree. And no question, it will stay that way. Some of you could consider those are flaws, or it should be better without, these branches at the front. Not in my head. Again, as we say this all the time, everyone would execute every single material differently. So as the case today, you see it from the back as well. Would even say like a clump style. It doesn't really matter. what category in styles you will put this tree in, but I will keep all the main branches. It adds a lot of character. If you see this chunk in there, I'll definitely correct it and cut it back so that will flow better with this lower branch. I'm not going to do that right now. As I said, I want to repot this tree next year, and well, it will be in actively growing next season. I might have correction back there, because I think that we don't need this down in here. If you see from there, or from the... So, this is what you hear. Someone got their food. You tell me it is a good idea or not. But today we will need to push it back a tiny bit more. If you see that the thickness of the trunk and then the continuity of these primary branches, the thickness for me, it will be just perfect that way. But then as you see, it's really long. I didn't really touch the secondaries. As you see, they just grow how they wanted to grow. So I will add more movements to the secondaries, and then when everything is wired out, then we can come back and push it back a bit more. You could do it right now, but then I would love to see the overall silhouette, the whole tree, till where exactly I wanted to push it back, okay? Orientals are producing really tiny and close internodes. Internodes is basically the length between two buds. I will make sure that you don't overlap none of these buds, okay? This is my main goal with this tree. I don't really want to knock off buds. I don't really want to damage all these buds. Just very gently wire the tree out. If you see this one in here, this branch, I don't really think that we need that length, so I will cut it back in here and leave a tiny stub on there for dieback. And then this one, right now it doesn't really do much because you can't even see it there. So what I think of is I put this back and it can fill up that gap in here. Yeah, that most likely will be the case. Okay, I'll wire this one up and in here. This branch is dead, but I still want to keep this on. It adds a lot of character to the tree. It's like half of a tree, it's wired after millions of hours. I will start to push it back and then put the branches into nice and gnarly positions. So I will follow that, how the deciduous tree is growing. So it's coming out from the base, shooting upwards, coming down again and then shooting up. So we're aiming for that, I wouldn't say 45-degree angle, but some kind of it. I want to, put the different planes of these branches, so this one will not shade out that one as coming to your front. And then we said this will fill this gap in here. This tiny one fills out that negative space. And then overall as well, so not every single branch dimension will be front of you. Something goes that way at the front, and then we will continue all the way down. So that branch will go that way, and these branches will fill that part in here. I think you see better from here. So do we want that length out and in here? That's the length where I wanted to stop. Even if I would like to push it back, I will leave it as it is right now. The more tissue, the more cells you leave on the tree, the better chances it will have to survive winter. So even next year, this time of the year, coming back to the tree, shorten back everything else, and then we'll see from there. We have a lot of buds set up for next year anyway, so we are on the safe side. Not much left. Tidy a bit of that top and back section. Also, I don't really want a really high new apex, so you will chop it back a bit. Let's work on the apex in here, and we finish at the back, and we are getting there. Hello, you're almost there. What we do with this? What we do with that? Let's have one tiny in here that will fill there. I'll need to shorten it a bit, just a bit. So, I'm trying to go back to 2 branches. Okay. Okay. Whew. I love that we see the silhouette much more in detail, and I could still push it back a tiny bit more. And I think I will leave it as it is for today. And guys, as we speak, I was talking to the guy where most of my pots from, and we were discussing our options in here. But you know what? I will wait till the pot is here and I will show you that. I'll give you a 316 here. So this is my chosen front. All these dead branches will stay on the tree. I think it just represents that what was once there, what it's gone, what is replacing it. I think it gives a lot of character to this tree. Still crazy material for me. Let's wrap it up. Guys, so to wrap up, welcome you all back. The pot arrived, and I couldn't be happier with the results. I will leave the link in the description for the pot maker who's making these beautiful pots. When I'm working with someone, especially when it comes to pots, I like that that individual put its own imagination to its work. Is I wanted to see his own imagination, what this tree would thrive and show its best qualities in a pot. He never really let you down. that's for sure. We discussed about color, right? The more I worked on this tree, I don't know if it's the case with you guys as well. The first impression when I got it, even for myself and my missus, we thought that this tree looks like a Medusa or a Kraken, right? With these old branches coming out from the sea. For that expression, I asked Roman to do something like a turquoise colored pot, which will represent very well the sea. So the tree will tell you a story, as not just as beautiful as itself, but representing some environment and a character itself. So he came up with this really, really, really beautiful pot. But more and more I worked on this tree and I was watching this tree really, really closely. It started to give me that impression of a really scary tree from Lord of the Rings. Because if you remember the scene from Minas Morgul, the City of the Dead, I was thinking of that. I could imagine this tree, coming from that part of Middle Earth. If I want to put this tree into Tolkien's world, right? So he surprised me with this green glazed huge pot. This is a 46 centimeter pot in diameter, which I think that tree definitely will need. The depth, it's 8.25, which I think that would be just perfect for this tree. It's not that deep, it's not too shallow. So we have two pots to choose between, or do we? Do we have anything else or something else? Do we? So while I was waiting for the pots to arrive, I got a message from a company based in Hungary, and they wanted to do a sort of collab with me. So Kristóf from Ginkgo Hatás Pécs, they sent me this slab. He seen this tree and he thought that this tree could thrive even on the slab as well. They do absolutely amazing jobs on slab creations. If you've seen my videos before, I tried to recreate something like this, which is here at the back. I usually used cement, which the huge downside of it, it's heavy as hell. But they're using composite materials. Obviously, they're not going to share the exact material what they're using. Nevertheless, I got this pot from them. And when we're going to do a repot next year, I will talk about Kristóf's company much more in detail, because they well deserve it, I think. It's a really, really lightweight slab. Let's say 4-5 kilos-ish. So I thought that I will ask you out actually, guys, because we mentioned this before many, many times. Not just the design, but your taste of pots will be different on every single tree. Surprise, surprise. But I want to get your opinion of, should this tree go to this beauty, or are we going to put it on a slab? Not really going to talk about how I'm going to repot trees on slab. It's a bit different approach when you do on pots. We do that next March. But as I said, I want your opinion. You would go for a slab? Would you go for this big pot? Or actually you would choose the turquoise one, okay? Needless to say, if this particular tree will not go to the slab, then we will do something a bit more interesting, if I can say that way. I already had my thoughts, between you kind of like jumping like how this tree would look in this slab, how the tree would look in a pot, so on and so on and so on. But in one point you need to make your decision. But I still have a good few months for that. Guys, this is our wrap up, okay? A huge appreciation to Roman. A huge appreciation to Kristóf as well. Making these absolutely amazing pots and slabs for our trees. One thing is what I mentioned in previous videos, that I love to work with quote-unquote local artists and pot makers, because every single piece is just a unique product, that it's not coming from a mass-produced factory. So if I have a unique tree, I would like to have a unique pot for itself as well. And when we're going to put this two together, that will be the, quote-unquote match in heaven for me. Thank you so much for staying me this long. I appreciate all of your comments and views. I get a lot of good comments and advices from you as well. Much appreciated. Guys, thank you so much again. See you in March.